Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Yankees on Deck podcast. I'm your host, Matt Cunningham, and today the Yankees had a sloppy game. It was the home opener, Friday. Vibes coming in were high, and the team just fell flat on its face today, which is unfortunate because Marcus Stroman got the ball. Big time Yankee fan, grew up a Yankee fan, and his family was there and he pitched amazing. Like, that was really the only positive from today's game, if we're being honest. The final line for Stroman, 6 innings pitched, only gave up 3 hits, 1 walk, had 6 strikeouts. He was magnificent. He's yet to give up a run this season in 12 innings pitched. His first outing in Houston, in 6 innings, none of the runs he gave up were earned. So he has an ERA of 0 right now in 12 innings. Pretty impressive stuff from him. It was great watching him pitch today. I couldn't attend the game, but it was a sloppy game. I'm kind of glad I didn't drive back for that. The offense was flat, totally flat. Really not much to say in terms of just production. They couldn't get anything going. I mean, they did have 6 hits somehow, 6 hits. I mean, considering how this lineup played, I'm surprised they got 6 hits. But you look up and down the order. I mean, Torres was 1 for 4, but Soto again 0 for 4. Judge 0 for 2. He did have 2 walks. Stan was 0 for 4, and he had 2 strikeouts. I mean, if you're looking at Stan right now, I mean, it's not pretty, obviously. Giancarlo Stanton, the stat came out during the game. He has struck out 13 times in 26 plate appearances so far this season. I can't say I'm surprised considering how he was last year, but look, and I know it's still incredibly early, but come on, man. I mean, he's got to get it going. The weight loss, all this stuff, he came into camp so much better shape. I really was hoping he'd get off to a hot start. And now I don't really know what to expect from him because it's just the same old Stanton, honestly, right now. Swinging out of his shoes, no plate discipline. Looks like an easy out up there. I don't even want to look at the batting average, honestly. It's terrible. 125. I mean, look, and I know we're only what, like 8 games in, but come on, man. He needs to have a better year. And I mean, Boone was talking about it. The post game I saw, he was like, "Oh, this is who Stan is. He's a streaky hitter. He's going to get it going." And I understand the manager. Boone doesn't ever bash his players. He always talks brightly about them and glows about them and blah blah blah. But I mean, come on, man. You got to just at least admit that, like, this is. I mean, that he's got to get it going. He could at least be a little bit more honest and say, terrible start, but he's got to. I mean, he's got to pick it up. Let's go. I mean. It's this whole, like, he drums out like this whole explanation of, like, oh, we know he's going to get it going, this and that. No, you don't. You don't know that. And I know you're not going to come out and say that directly, but I mean, you gotta almost go up there and be like, it's a bad start. That's not what we were hoping from him, and he needs to turn it around, and he knows that. That's it. Like, don't go up there and start saying, oh, yeah, he's going to turn around. No, we don't know that. I mean, come on, just stop spewing this crap, like, fake persona thing, like that you think he's going to turn it around. No, you don't, because our own freaking GM said, this is who Stan is. He was going on the, anti-Stan stuff on just, like, he gets hurt and this and that and doesn't play well. I mean, come on, man. I'm so sick and tired of hearing just everything having to be spun into a positive all the time. You can't just go up there and say, oh, not a good start. He needs to turn around and he needs to be better and he's working. That's it. Like, you got to go up there and obviously spin it into positive and say he's a streaky hitter, which we all know that. We all know Stan's a streaky hitter, but he hasn't been a streaky hitter in the last couple of years. He's been downright terrible the last couple of years. So you can't say he's a streaky hitter when he hasn't been that the last few years. I mean, stop with that crap. I'm tired of hearing that. And, he was a streaky hitter, Stan, when he was a lot better than he is now. When he was a lot better than he was these last, 2.5 years? I mean, come on. You can't. I mean, he was a streaky hitter then. When Stan was best as a Yankee, he was an incredibly streaky hitter because he had the highs and lows. In the last few years, it's been pretty much all lows. I mean, those strikeouts. I mean, come on. I give credit to Stan coming into camp shape, but turn that around. First and foremost, that's number one. Look, Soto again, another 0 for 4. Like, I'm not. There was some bullshit calls today by that umpire. It really pissed me off. But honestly, it didn't really matter that much at the end of the day because as shitty as the umpiring has been to start this year, today the team just didn't hit. I mean, it's not like they were hitting and they had, runners on a bunch and then the umpire was screwing them up. No, they just didn't freaking hit. I mean, they're plain and simple. They weren't hitting. The middle of that order: Soto, Judge, Stanton, all 0-4. None of those guys got hits. The lineup, the heart of the order, 2, 3, 4, and 5, which is Soto, Judge, Stanton, Rizzo. You want to guess what those guys went combined? If you do the math, 1 for 14 today. 1 for 14. I mean, 2 through 5 did nothing today. Rizzo got a hit. That was it. 1 for 4. But he hasn't been looking too great. I mean, he's struggling a little bit. He's at 226 batting average. He was the only guy in the heart of our order. Only guy in the heart of the order that got a hit. Okay, yes, Judge walked twice, but he hasn't really been doing – he didn't do any damage today, really, other than the walks. I mean, that's not really damage. So the heart of the order did nothing. All right, so we got that, and, Verdugo had a little slap infield hit, so he was 1 for 3 technically, but John Birdie had a hit, 1 for 3. Volpe, I mean, you could only really say Volpe was the only guy that really had a productive day at the plate. He was 2 for 4, had a couple hits, so he continues on his hot streak. The batting average at 423, OPS over 1,000, 1,154. I mean, he's really, he's the hottest hitter in this lineup right now, and that's not an understatement. And then I was saying today on Twitter too, like the freaking at bats, man. I mean, other than like Volpe, I didn't see one other guy really hit a ball hard today. It was all like weak pop-ups and weak grounders. And, the Blue Jays starter, Yusei Kikuchi, he's not anything great. He's not a great pitcher. He's got a career ERA of 4.72. I mean, this guy isn't a good pitcher, but then somehow whenever he faces us, and this happened last year, whenever he faces us, he comes into New York and he shuts us down. And we can't score any runs off him. He went 5 innings today, 7 strikeouts, only gave up 4 hits. And his first start, too, against Tampa, he wasn't good at all. I mean, he gave up 3 earned runs in his first start, his last start, which was his first against Tampa, on 6 hits, 4 innings pitched. So Tampa could hit him, but we can't. I mean, make it make sense, man. I don't understand. Every time this guy comes to New York and he pitches against us, he pitches like he's a Cy Young candidate, and he's not good. So what is going on? I don't understand that. The Blue Jays lineup really wasn't that great today. The one run they got was on the home run by a pinch hitter, a guy named Ernie Clement. That's who really did it. That's the guy who really did anything today in their lineup. The other 2 runs were on, wild pitches, pass balls, which Jose Trevino, I mean, like, what are you doing, dude? I mean, and I have to go down. So Nick Birdie came into the game. It was let me get the inning right here. It was top of the 9th. Nick Birdie came in to replace Dennis Santana, who's replacing Jonathan Loizaga because he's on the 60-day IL. He's hurt again. No surprise there. That guy always gets hurt. But a huge piece of our bullpen that's out. So Dennis Santana replaced him in the game today. And he honestly, he got roughed up a bit, but his first inning was good. His first inning, he came in for, first few batters he faced, first inning he came in, he was good. He Actually, he was good. The 2 earned runs, actually, my apologies, were given up. Were on him because Birdie came in with runners on. So Santana was responsible for those runners. So Santana did have a good outing. He was great. He was moving his pitches. They didn't really do any damage off of him or much damage. And then Birdie comes in and he can't find the plate. Wild pitches, pass balls. I mean, what are we doing here? I just, and I got to count how many. He was all over the place. He came in. He walked IKF and couldn't find the plate. And then it got worse. Then he walked Springer, and then it was a wild pitch. So then it was first to third, and then a run came in. And then he got Guerrero, but it was like, oh, too little, too late. And, he had multiple wild pitches. He had, let's see. I think he had, was it 2 or 3? 1, 2. Yeah, 3 wild pitches in the top of the ninth. And 2 of them Trevino should have had. One of them was in the dirt that he should have blocked, and he was like side laying it like with the glove. It's like, stop that. Like, get down and under the ball and block it like a catcher. You're a defensive catcher first. Like, this is your strength, and you're just like, your head's not in the game, dude. So there was that. And then there was a pitch literally slightly up above the strike zone that Trevino just didn't catch. He missed it. It was right there down the plate, a little bit up, and he just completely missed it. And it like bounced off his glove, went to the backstop. There's another run. I mean, come on, dude. Get your head out of your ass. I don't understand. And Trevino he's been the worst hitter on this plate. He's been the worst hitter at the plate to start our season. He's hitting 083. He's not a hitter. He can't hit for shit. He's a defensive catcher. And then it leads to another decision that I don't understand from Boone. So, Trevino was batting in the bottom of the 8th, the half inning before, his defensive errors out in the field. And Boone had the opportunity when Trevino was coming up to pinch hit him for either Austin Wells or Oswaldo Cabrera, and he didn't. Because there was a righty on the mound. There was a righty pitcher. They, I believe it was, who was the guy? I think it was not Chad Green, because Chad Green came in the ninth, former Yankee, by the way. But there was a righty pitcher, okay? And, not IKF. Trevino's a righty. So the ideal matchup, because Trevino can't hit and you're down 1 run, was to go to the bench and bring up Austin Wells or Oswaldo Cabrera, who are lefties and can hit lefty well against the righty. Better matchup. And those guys have gotten off to decent starts, especially Oswaldo Cabrera, like we've been talking about in the Houston series. So, like, what are you doing? I don't understand how you don't make that substitution, because Trevino can't hit, dude. And granted, if you were to ask Boone this question, he would say, oh, well, I like Trevino, defensively, and that's why him and Austin Wells flip-flop, because Austin Wells is a younger catcher, but the defensive supposedly is not up to par with Trevino, right, which is accurate. Trevino has the edge defensively, but Wells has the edge offensively with the bat. So that would be probably Boone's argument if you were to ask him this. But then my response would be, well, I mean, you're in the 8th, you're in the bottom of the 8th. You're down. Your offense hasn't done anything. Wells is not like some horrible catcher. Is he a downgrade defensively from Trevino slightly? Yes, but you got to get runs on the board. If you don't get runs on the board this inning, then you're left in the bottom of the 9th. And it's not like, oh, yeah, we're at the top of the order. The top of the order hasn't been doing anything. This entire lineup hasn't done anything all game. So it's not like the mantra of saying, oh, yeah, well, Trevino's batting 9th and we got the top of the order coming up. Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, yeah, sure, you got the top of the order, but they've been scuffling all game. So you can't be like, oh, yeah, we're going to go back to the top of the order and they're going to figure it out. Yeah, I mean, you hope that, but Soto, Judge, Stan, Rizzo, those guys all had rough games. The only guy that had a good game really was Volpe. I mean, a lot of 0 for 4s. Those guys were off today. So you can't make that assumption. I'm sorry. As good of the top of that lineup should have been today, and they are on paper, you can't make that assumption. Make the freaking change. I'm so sick of this shit. That was one thing with Boone. I didn't understand that. Because Trevino can't hit. And then, of course, Trevino, I think he struck out. I mean, it's just, I don't understand, man. I really don't. And Stroman was great, unfortunately. Like I said, I mean, that guy was, that guy, all his pitches were working today. He got into a lot of 3-2 counts, those deep counts, but he got out of them. And the game didn't start off the greatest. He gave up the leadoff double to Springer, and then he advanced to third, but he got out of it. And he gave up no runs. He pitched his butt off today, and it's a shame because it went to waste. The offense didn't do anything. The offense just was flat and did nothing. And I'm not going to get on Soto's case. I'm not going to get on Torres or Judge. Obviously those guys got to pick it up. But Stanton with the strikeouts again, I'm going to get a little bit on his case because what the frig? You got to clean that up, dude. If we're going to have more of that this year and you're batting cleanup right now, put him at the bottom of the order. I'm sick of this shit. That can't continue. He's got to heat it. He's got to pick it up. And that's what Boone should have said today. He should have said, I know it's early, but Stanton, not great so far. He's got to pick it up. Just be honest. You don't have to rip the guy and be like, oh, what an awful start, blah, blah, blah. I understand that. I get that component partially at least, but just be honest. We're just asking for a little more honesty. Stop spinning every little freaking thing into a positive. It's like last year when, one game, I think the team struck out like 16 or 17 times, and he's like, oh, yeah, I saw some really good at-bats in there. Really? Come on, dude. I'm just sick and tired of Boone having to spin every little freaking thing into the positive sometimes. That's it. Aside from the managerial decisions today with the letting Trevino hit. That was the other thing that bugged me with him. So, in the Blue Jays lineup, they had one more hit than the Yankees. They had 7 hits. And they got the 1 run on the pinch hitter, Ernie Clement, home run, who's a bench player. And then because everything went to shit in the top of the 9th and Birdie was throwing the ball over the place, couldn't find the strike zone, wild pitches in the dirt, Toronto goes up 3-0. So, you can't even really say Toronto did that well today. The Yankees just played so poorly that Toronto was able to win it. Because that, other than, you say Kikuchi pitched well for them, but he's not a great pitcher. He shouldn't have been throwing up those numbers. And the offense for Toronto really didn't do anything today. So it was really just that sole home run because our offense couldn't score and someone was going to score eventually. And then the 2 runs because Nick Birdie was just all over the place. So that's really all. It's really all there is to it. Honestly, there's nothing else to really say. The bullpen was obviously shaky today. Nick Birdie couldn't find the plate. The only really guy that was good in the bullpen today was Santana, who came in. He takes over Loaiza's spot because, as I said, Loaiza is hurt on the 60-day IL, which is another blow. Caleb Ferguson, the lefty, came in, and he struggled. He gave up a run, 0.2 innings pitched, 2 hits. He was the guy that gave up the home run during Clement. So that wasn't ideal. And the only way I can really characterize it is the bullpen was taxed. We've used the bullpen extensively these first, 8 games, 7-8 games. So, because a lot of our guys, other than today with Stroman, I don't think they're other than Stroman, like all of our other guys haven't been able to go through 6 innings. So the bullpen has been coming in like the 5th or 6th inning, almost every game. And it's been taxed. And that's what we saw today. It wasn't as crisp. It wasn't as sharp as it was in Arizona and Houston. And that was a problem. But the bigger problem was the offense didn't hit for shit today. They didn't do anything. Yeah, I mean, it was just bad. And I feel bad because, the home opener, the crowd was electric. It's like you want to get those wins, man, and it's tough. And I also read a stat too from on Twitter. I forget who it was from, or no, it was actually the Yes Network. The Yes Network said it's the first time the Yankees have been shut out in the home opener since 1967. So there's a stat for you. Kind of wild, but unfortunately, happened again today. So, all these years later, unfortunately, happened today. That's how it works sometimes. So now Toronto's 4-4. They're in fourth place, and the Yankees are now 6-2, still in first. But Boston, they play the Angels tonight in Anaheim, so they can improve to 6-2 if they win and be tied with the Yankees for first place. So I don't think that's anything anybody expected, honestly. But granted to the Red Sox, though, they played well. They got a good start, but they're playing Oakland and Seattle. Seattle is, I'll give them that. They took two. They split, I think, how many did they win against Seattle? So they're 5. Okay, so they took 2 from Seattle. I think that was a split. Yeah, because it was 4 games. They took 2 from Seattle, which I'll give them credit. Seattle's no layover team. They were a playoff team a couple years ago. And I think they only missed about a game last year, so they're no layover team. So that was semi-impressive, honestly. But then they go to Oakland and they sweep, which they should have. So, that's where it stands right now. Still incredibly early, so I'm not gonna like do a crazy rant or anything. But I am pissed off with mainly Trevino, man. I mean, you got to get your head out of your ass on that. What is 2 balls that got by him out of the 3. I mean, maybe you could maybe make the argument for the third too, because all of those pitches were reasonable. They weren't like crazy wild pitches that didn't even come close to crossing the plate. They were all pitches in the dirt that were reasonably, you would expect a decent defensive catcher like Trevino to block. And all 3 of them he let get by. I mean, that is unacceptable. I mean, come on. I mean, you are in the lineup because of your defensive prowess. You're not in the lineup because you can hit. I'll tell you that. So that was a joke. I mean, that was unfreaking real, man. And then that's what basically gave them the 2 runs. I mean, they were able to move runners over, and that's how it happened. That's how runners came in, because it was originally 1-0. And, not that it would have mattered anyway, though, because then the lineup in the bottom of the 9th, quick 1, 2, 3, did nothing. So, yeah, that's how you have it. So let me actually just pull up the standings. I didn't think of this till recording, because I had other stuff on the agenda that related to this game that I want to talk about, and then I just thought about, let me check the standings. All right, so we're 6-2. Baltimore's 5-2, half game out. Red Sox are tied with Baltimore at 5-2, and then you have Toronto that moved to 4-4, and the Rays are at 3-4. So, yeah, that's how you have it. Pretty lifeless game, and it doesn't get any easier tomorrow because the Yankees have to face Kevin Gausman, who is a very dang good pitcher, and he's gotten off to a good start so far this year. Has a 2.08 ERA, so his first start was pretty decent. Last year he was at a 3.16. There were some nasty pitches, 4-seam, that split finger, that's just incredibly hard to hit, slider, induces a lot of ground balls. I mean, I don't know, man. I think we're in for it tomorrow. And the Yankees got Clark Schmidt going. I mean, the 2 aren't even comparable. So, I don't know. I think tomorrow is going to be kind of rough, hopefully. I mean, honestly, and you need Clark to give you at least 6-7 innings, because this bullpen, I can already see it. They're taxed. They're tired. And that's not good. Not good. Because this is the same problem we've had in previous years, where the starting pitching isn't there. right? Whether it's depth or just performance in general, a lot of times both, right? And then we over rely on the bullpen. And that's something we don't obviously want to do at the start of the season in freaking early April, but this is where we are because Garrett Cole's out. So you can take what you want. I mean, there has obviously the 6-2 is a great start. I'm not going to downgrade that. The vibes were super high coming out of Arizona, but that's something in the back of my mind that's always been a concern is the usage of this bullpen and are over relying on it. And I've touched on that briefly in previous episodes, but now it comes more to light because they weren't as sharp today as we're used to seeing them. And that's something we got to think about because, not as many guys were available. And so, that also impacts it too. Oh, sorry. My nose is so itchy. I don't know why. Yeah. I mean, and that's a problem we've had in previous years, right? And then we get later into the season or even the postseason, and then the bullpen is just in shambles because they're overworked, overtaxed, and and that's just not what you want. And Garrett Cole was going out there and giving us at least 7-8 innings practically almost every time out there. So it's hard making up that bulk of work. It really is. Because most of these guys other than Stroman haven't given us 6 innings. I mean, I don't think Rodon's made it past the 5th. Clark, I mean, these guys just, I don't know. But it's incredibly early. I'm not gonna go into this huge rant or anything, but today was a low-key game that pissed me off, just in terms of the offense not doing anything, and then just the stupid mistakes with Trevino and the catching. Like, come on. I mean, I didn't expect that. I obviously do expect the bullpen to be off on certain days, right? And same thing with the offense too. But it just sucks because the home opener, the crowd, it's like you just wish it was a different outcome. I was hearing on Twitter, oh, maybe they were pressing because it's the first game. And yeah, it's possible. Definitely possible. But I don't know. It's just, it sucks. But they got to come out tomorrow. They got to wipe it clean, come out tomorrow, and really try and hit Gosman because he's going to be tough. He's going to be very tough. Way tougher, I think, than Kikuchi was today. And somehow Kikuchi comes here every time and he dominates us, and he's not really that good. So when you look at the stats, so I don't know how that keeps happening. But I'm trying to think of what else I have to cover. So, I'm not, obviously it's super early. You're going to have games like this. Like I said, I just want people to keep it in perspective. Don't get like too upset yet. That's why I wait a bit to record these episodes to like calm down. If something's, annoying me, upsetting me from the game, which happens literally all the time, nearly every game, right? Unless it's a blowout that the Yankees are winning, right? And nearly every game something upsets me. So I wait, a little bit, like an hour or two, and then I film because I can think with a more clear head and also, maybe rant a little bit, but not go too over the top, So, yeah, I mean, you wish, from Soto and on down that heart of the order, you saw some more fight today. But it just didn't happen. And then, the umpires were terrible and this and that, but that wasn't the whole thing. I mean, come on, these guys weren't hit regardless. So that's, but I still think you need robo umps though. You need that because the umpiring is just downright horrendous. I mean, the calls, I'm going to say right now, the calls for both sides were ridiculous, especially on like the outside corners. Like there's so many pitches that were so off the plate. It's unbelievable. And they're just the same mistakes over and over and over and over again. It's just ridiculous. You need some robot umps or something to fix this up because the accuracy honestly can't be good. I don't know what the umpire score card sheets are saying in terms of accuracy percentage or whatnot. I got to look at that, but it can't be that good. Not at least for, having high standards. So I don't know. It sucks, honestly. Uh, but that's really all I have for today. Um, Tomorrow's game, I believe, is 7 o'clock. So pregame will be at around 6. I believe it's also broadcasted on Yes too. So we'll get that game. No streaming service crap, thankfully. Um, so that kind of does it in terms of the talking about the game, essentially. Uh, and I want to, as we close out today's show, I want to uh, talk about some unfortunate, very sad news that came out uh, earlier today about, um, someone very near and dear to the Yankee community. So the Yankees vice president, Michael Tushani. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. If I'm mispronouncing your last name, I'm sorry. But Michael, he's the executive vice president of the New York Yankees for senior vice president of partnerships for the Yankees, Michael J. Tusani. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing the last name. His wife, Kathy, unfortunately passed away a few days ago unexpectedly. And I just, if you're still listening up to this point, I just, I want to ask you if, keep Michael and his wife, Kathy, and their family in your thoughts and prayers. They have 2 young daughters. And just, I read it, read the story earlier today, and it's just really heartbreaking. And, I also want to say too, Michael and your wife, Kathy, and your family, you guys are all in my thoughts and prayers. And, that's just, that was just really, that was tough to hear today because, you just hate, hearing about tragedies like that. And, I don't want to, say anything specific or anything out of respect for the family, but, she did pass away unexpectedly. And, the Yankees released a statement earlier today, and Aaron Boone did touch upon it and was emotional, understandably. And, the Yankees, that entire team, the front office, and just the staff and the coaches and everybody, those guys are all family. So they're obviously hitting really hard right now. And my thoughts and prayers go out to Michael and his family, during this difficult time. And, if you guys could just, if you're still listening at this point, just please keep Michael and his wife, Kathy, and their 2 young kids and in your thoughts and prayers. And that's really how I want to end this show. As I saw, it was, most appropriate to, I wanted to bring this up because it's important, because, there's way more to life than baseball. And it's important that, we just, show our support, in hearing tragic news like this. And, that's all I really got to say. And, Aaron Boone, when he talked today, summed it up perfectly, just saying, it's just a reminder that, baseball is a game, and, there's obviously way more to life than just that. And sometimes people get caught up in things that really don't matter. And at the end of the day, you just got to, really understand how precious life is, and be thankful and grateful to God for every day. And so if you could just keep his family in your thoughts and prayers, that would be great. And, that's going to conclude our show today. And I want to, just thank everybody for tuning in. And it's Friday evening as I'm recording this. So hopefully you guys have a nice relaxing and safe weekend, and I'll talk to you guys soon. So thank you very much, and have a great night, everybody.